Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Excited to be here with you all today. Got Cameron waiting in the background, so we're going to bring him in shortly. But we're going to get caught up on what's going on with Para, look at some crypto news and some market stuff, and we'll go from there. So let's bring Cameron in. We'll get right to it. Don't have a ton of time today, probably 30 or 40 minutes with you all, but let's bring him in and we'll get started. Good morning, Cameron. Sir, how are you?
I'm muted. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, man. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
It has been. Yeah, I'm glad that we're able to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been a busy few weeks for us here, and but it's good to be back with everybody, and hopefully we can get some kind of find out what's going on with Para the last couple weeks, and then go from there. So, good morning, Kruger, Jose, Prima Culture. It's good to see everybody. Looks like I got about 10 people in here, so I'd say let's just get right at it.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Man, I guess with Para, we've just been putting in some long nights. We were sharing some pictures from one of the nights. We actually did it for about 4 nights or 5 nights, something like that. But yeah, it was just late nights going through. One of the things that we had to do with the prospectus is go through a lot of these transactions, and the prospectus is for the SEC filing. But yeah, we're just going through a lot of these transactions, and man, it's just a messy process. And yeah, so that was been one of the biggest kind of pushes on our end. But at this point, yeah, prospectus is like a lot of progress has been made with that. So the prospectus is being sent out. I think it's already been sent out. I need to check because I connected with Lee Friday, and so he got the final draft of that, and so I think that's been sent out. But yeah, so something like that. But we've been working on the SEC filing. That's kind of been the big focus as of late. Of course, we still have development going on with the ParaPay app. That's been great. Let me think of what we've had. Spencer was able to. I don't know if he may want me to save this, but I'll share it. So one of the things that we've been working on is funding accounts, right? So with ParaPay, you'll have your own account. So he was able to take some test Ethereum and move it into his ParaPay account and have it fund his account and that whole thing. So development's just piece by piece, bit by bit, but that's been good. And then Dave on the front end, he's working on a lot of the front end stuff with the application. He sent a video Thursday or Friday, just getting into what he's been working on. So we've been seeing some new user interface stuff, a lot of it having to do with implementing Prime Trust's KYC and things like that. So we were able to go in and put in your ID and pictures and take a selfie and that whole thing and start the KYC process with Prime Trust.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll tell you a quick story. I was helping my dad yesterday get some Ethereum and send it to his wallet and do some of that stuff. And in the middle of it, I just stopped. He's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I just wish ParaPay was here because it took us he doesn't do it very often. So, I have to send him screenshots of sometimes where to go and things like that because he doesn't do it like I do, where I just go in, I buy ETH, I send it to my wallet, then I go into Uniswap and so it took us about 10 minutes to get ETH and then send it to his wallet. And then so I could go in and do some stuff for him. But I was just like, this is what we need ParaPay for. So you can just go to this one place, buy your ETH, and then do what you want with it. And that's kind of where we're going with this. And, just one step closer every time we hear about this being done. And, what people don't understand is we were kind of using fake test ETH before, just putting it in there and doing some simple transactions. And now it's getting to the point where it's actually real ETH and stuff like that. So, just one more step in that direction because there's so many steps, right? But that was my first thought was, God, I just wish ParaPay was here so we could use it. It'd be so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely want it here. We're all excited. I know the community is excited for it. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's just a process. It's just a process that takes time. But we've put out what I think are some realistic deadlines. and we're just working on it and getting it done. So yeah, to have July or so be the date for the release of this. That's still the target. We're just building and doing the little thing. It's like an elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right?
Right.
And I'm just grateful for the team with Spencer and Dave really been being able to lean into this and develop it the way that they are. It's turned out really cool. So trying to think, what was the other? There was another thing. If I remember what it was a week ago or so. Dave sent in another message. It's just like every couple days there's a new kind of update on like, hey, we have this done now. We have this done now.
Right.
But it does take time, and it's the other thing that uh, is kind of unique. Now, Spencer, he works mostly with para. He does have other projects and stuff that he does. Dave, we were able, so he's from the community. He's a para holder.
Yeah.
And so he came in and he loves the project and everything. But so he's putting in 20 to 25 hours a week in this, but this isn't his main job. So
Right.
it's I guess what I'm saying is it's even like a little bit harder because though Dave is great, and this is like nothing, but like this isn't his full-time job, right? But yeah, he's doing awesome. Dave is seriously, we're very blessed to have him because he's killing it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the amount of work that he's been able to complete with the little amount of hours that he's doing is amazing. I mean, we and Rad can attest to this too, seeing it in the group chat where the work's coming in, and it's like, wow, he's got to be working on this like 15 to 20 hours a day, right? I mean, this to me it's a lot of work, but when he's only doing 20 to 25 hours a week and you see all that work coming in, it's like, wow, he's really good at what he does, and
Yeah.
he's getting a ton of stuff done, and he got it done really quick.
Yep. Yeah. So Sebastian, this is a great question about the KYC process. Um, I, I don't know the whole details. This is what I know is if Prime Trust is one of the like doesn't have a license in one of those states, and there's two reasons why this is happening, and I think that right now there's four states that may be changing very soon. I think Texas is changing, but each state is going through and reevaluating crypto and saying we need different requirements and stuff like that. So, like Texas, they had Texas. Then Texas says, you know what? Not only do we need a one-to-one asset, we need a one-to-one with the revenue as well. So while they're getting that together, they suspended operation in that state. So let's say you're in Texas, you won't be able to do transactions, but from what I understand, you're still able to have an account, right? And there are some things that can be done outside of the KYC. So it'll have like you'll have a wallet still. People can send in, or you can send in that crypto into that wallet. My question is I don't know what you're able to do with it at that point. So we're still learning. That's a big part of the next few weeks to months, or a month or so, is the whole compliance thing and how Prime Trust does their operations that way. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Well, and like the analogy I used before is like we're wading through just a field full of weeds, right? And we're having to chop one down at a time because no one's ever done this before. And so as we come to something like this, we're going to have to figure it out and deal with it and then kind of know what to do from there. So we're just in this huge field full of crypto weeds in this process that we're doing because no one's ever done it before. So as soon as, we'll get there, we'll figure it out, and then we'll know for future sakes. But there's so many unknowns with what we're doing. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just learning. I mean, 'cause we're working hand in hand and partnering with. Partnering, right? I say it like we're using their service with Prime Trust. their licenses, their liquidity pools and stuff. So trying to see how it all functions. But so far, we've had a good amount of time in the sandbox and the developer sandbox, and yeah, everything's looking great and working great, and we're able to make progress. So yeah, happy about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So Kruger had another question: is Para compliance platform being released with the ParaPay release?
So the compliance platform, this is why we started kind of pivoting, and I said, I see it as more of like the hub, right? The
Yeah.
ParaPay hub. So it's done as far as a compliance platform and a self-sufficient kind of KYC platform. Now with Prime Trust, and they have their own KYC process for businesses and consumers. I don't know that we're even going to need it. I mean, not that we're going to go and scrap the code, right? We may need it for when we become a completely independent operation or something like that. But what I foresee for the compliance platform is that it just becomes what we're saying, the hub. So from the hub, you can stake, you can buy, you can access your ParaPay. Just everything that we have going on there, different news and whatever. It's just the hub, and you can see the whole thing there. Something that I would really like, that I would like to see is also, so Spencer, he built his app, Link's wallet app.
Mm-hmm.
He did that before he even came on board. I think it'd be really cool to have that as like an integration. So you would have like your wallet portfolio manager, eventually the crypto list, charting, and everything. Just have everything in one place.
Yep.
And so that's what I foresee for what was once the compliance platform is now just the central point for Para.
Yeah, and we're just having, it's not necessarily, like you said, not going away, but maybe just changing into something that suits where we're going instead of where we were. We kind of thought this is what we were going to need before, but with Prime Trust, they can do a lot of that stuff that it was going to do before. But so now make it useful, right? Instead of just scrapping it and wasting all that time spent, we can make it into something that's that can work for all the holders.
Right. Well, and there, I guess one of the things that we still need to find out, because we're blazing trails, right? That's the one thing we definitely are doing. But with the SEC, so we were thinking originally this KYC and compliance platform was for the SEC, not so much for ParaPay, right? But now as we go through this process, that type of KYC and stuff, it's probably not necessary. But I mean, it would be really cool to be able to not only have the decentralized pool of Para, but maybe be able to access an exchange on the traditional market, right?
Right.
Or what have you. So yeah, it's just learning more and then saying, okay, cool, let's go this way.
Yeah. Well, then as you're learning, things are changing, right? So you're just having to kind of go with those changes and make it work, right?
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
Discussion about the Google ParaPay app getting close so the community could request access for testing. Is that still going to occur?
Yeah. Yep. I don't. So I think I asked it in our group.
Yeah, I had some people messaging me asking if they could be part of the testing, and I sent it on to the team, and I think the response was, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah. So we did get it onto the Google Store. So it's there. It's kind of hidden. So you have to have like an invite link in order to download it. But I did ask Spencer and Dave a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, if we want to start bringing people in, and they want to get the user interface a little bit further along. I mean, as of right now, when you actually have the app, there's some functionality, like you can create a transaction, you can scan it, you can send, you can pay for it, type of thing, and it'll do the logic on that and pay the transaction. But there's not much else. Like there's not a lot of functionality. So I think on their end, they're like, yeah, we can release it, but there's not a whole lot to be seen or tested. So I think
Yeah.
they want to wait just a little bit longer.
Yeah. Good questions though, guys. Definitely. I
Yeah.
know we mentioned it a couple weeks ago on a Twitter space, I think. And so I think it's good to let people know that, eventually, yes, I don't have Google. I've thought about it many times, just getting an extra phone, so I could test certain things. But, once we get there, we'll open it up and see if there's anybody out there that wants to test for sure.
Yeah, that'll be a big part. I think it's on the roadmap on the website. Do the open beta testing with everyone, and
Yep.
then user interviews. User interviews we're gonna be relying on that heavily. So,
Yep.
yeah, we'll be getting there.
Yep. For sure. If you guys have any more questions, make sure you just type them in there.
Yeah,
Seeing what I missed. So, but yeah, that's like I said, getting one step closer every day. And the thing that I tend to forget about too is there's so many things going on in the background. There's transactions being gone through for the SEC stuff. There's development being done on the Parapay app, and on both sides, Google and Apple and things like that. And so the team is split perfectly, in my opinion. That people are working on this and people working on that, and things are getting done and things are getting done well. So
yeah,
we're only less than 60 days to our deadline, right, in July.
mhm,
So it's getting closer and closer. I remember just talking about a couple months ago, like July's 4 months now. We're just 2 months away. So
right,
it's getting more real and more exciting every day.
right. Yeah, it is. And yeah, the SEC stuff. I just want to point out. So, the biggest part of this is the audits because we go through a lot of audits, and so the largest amount of time that we'll be spending over the next however many, months with that is going to be just more stuff like what we've been doing. Um, just more financials, more transactions, more double checking and resubmitting, and and then with them, I saw something. I don't know if it's true, but one of these crypto news sites was saying that the SEC said that they're in no rush to
Yep.
pave a way through for crypto. Um, we'll see. I don't know if that's entirely true, but yeah, it is an interesting thing. But yeah, the largest part and most amount of time spent will be doing these audits.
Yep.
So it'll just be just more of those, more late nights.
That's a good question. How does the launch coincide with FedNow Unicorn in July?
Yeah. This is something that obviously when we were looking at July as a release date, we didn't know about FedNow
Yep.
yet, right? But I think I'm a real believer in things tend to find a natural balance, and maybe it's finding a natural balance, giving people an option there.
Well, and the big thing with FedNow is the CBDC, right? And there are already how many states have come out already and have said no CBDCs in Florida and other states.
Yep.
So how well is this going to roll out, if at all? That's the question. I think Parapay does exactly what people want. It gives people the option to be able to do something different. Is FedNow necessarily bad for Parapay? I don't think it is. Is it necessarily bad for crypto? I don't think it is. I think it's going to give people kind of a wake up call, like, okay, well, I don't want to use this, but I can use this instead. I can use Parapay. I can use whatever crypto I want that they offer to use to pay. But on FedNow, they're trying to push for a CBDC for everybody to use, right?
Right.
So I think that's what it does for us.
So there's two elements of Fed now, right? The first one is the actual thing that'll be coming out in July, which is near instant settlements of transactions.
Yep.
As far as that goes, that's going to help us out, right? So if you're a merchant and you're using the Parapay app, someone pays you in Bitcoin or Ethereum. Well, it gets converted to US dollars if you want to get paid in US dollars, and then we can use the FedNow system to do an instant settlement, right? So
Yep.
that would be a plus. Now the thing is this FedNow system has to be in place in order for the next thing to roll out, which would be the central bank digital currency. Um, and I don't see this as a political thing, so I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds. But I would really encourage people to follow the lead of some of these states, talk to your local government, and bring it to the table. See if your state wants to ban these outright. I think that it's a mechanism of control because they're not giving you the choice. You don't have the option to interact with other things, and it's not like, right now we have the dollar, which is the reserve currency, and this is legal tender, right? And so you could say to yourself, well, I don't really have a choice to use another. I can't go pay with the Chinese yen or something, right? The difference is it's a big step towards moving towards like a cashless society and getting rid of competing currencies. And I think that this move is all happening because of what crypto has shown, which is that with crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything, right? You can have autonomy in your own finances. You can go to the currency that you want to be interacting with. And so there's competition. And, I've been saying for a while that this is the worst development team ever. So, the printing press goes burr. So anyway, that's my little spiel on that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, depends on who you listen to or who you're watching, but see that FedNow and CBDC as a huge way of them trying to control what you're buying and things like that. One example that people use a lot is, hey, the government only wants you to buy 4 pounds of hamburger a week, and once you hit that 4 pounds and you go to buy it with your CBDC, it doesn't let you, right? And that's just kind of an extreme example, but that's kind of the control that a lot of people are afraid what they're trying to do.
And that's the weird thing about it, right? And I understand the people in power now. Maybe they say, well, we wouldn't ever do that. That's not the purpose, that's not the intent, that's not the whatever. But if the capability is there, the slippery slope is there, and I don't think it should be discounted. I think if anything, my lifetime has taught me that the slippery slope is very real.
Yes.
Very real and not to be underappreciated. So it's about the next guy or the next person. I mean, we all have people that have taken power that it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on or whatever. You're like, I really wish that they didn't have power. And what happens when someone says, you know what, we are going to limit how much of X product you can buy? All of a sudden, that precedent's set. And so why even give it the option?
Yeah.
Why the temptation, right?
Yep. Well, that's the question now, is that they may not be thinking that now, but what about, like you said, it's all about the next person. What about in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, somebody else comes in and that's what they decide to do, right?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest question.
Yep.
Kruger asks, does SEC want you to come first before Payer Pay is released, or does it matter?
No, nope. These two things are completely separate, which is great. So Parapay can be out and operating, and we can still be working on the SEC. That's more likely the case of how everything's going to work. So yeah, they are separate that way.
Good. Would SEC have any sort of marketing for Paris, since it would be the first?
That would be massive. I would agree. I really doubt it. I mean, press releases and a lot of news, and maybe the SEC would put out a press release or something like that. Who knows, right? Maybe we can get his name Gary
Gensler.
GG, right? Gensler, yeah, there you go. Maybe we can get him to tweet about us, right? No, I would highly doubt it, but I would expect press releases, and then of course we as a team would be using that and leveraging that news for sure.
Yep. Any concerns with Senator Warren discussing banning all crypto outside FedNow?
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Fred. I just saw my mouth a little.
I mean, good luck. That's the thing with crypto, right?
Yeah.
They can't control it. They can't ban it. I think one of the most amazing clips came from Janet Yellen of the Fed, where she's like, well, there's not, like, talking about Bitcoin. We can't regulate Bitcoin. There's not a person. It's not an entity. It's whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it, but that's the threat of it as well.
Yeah.
Gary G Spot.
Yeah, I think it's, of course they're going to try, right? Some
Sure.
people can try and ban crypto, but will it succeed? Highly, highly doubtful.
Well,
But
especially not because even if, okay, the US doesn't get to control crypto,
right.
The crypto is not a US thing. This is a global thing, and it's decentralized, meaning it resides within each individual user, right?
Yep.
So it's like they can't. I mean, they can't keep drugs out of prison. Do they think that they're going to be able to keep access with VPNs and everything that's going on a global scale where the whole globe can access it, but we're just a little blacked out box on the map? There's no way. Like it's impossible. And also there's a bit of I don't know, like the mentality. I don't understand this, that they think that we're just going to ban something, we're just going to make a decree and therefore it's going to be stopped. No, what's going to happen is we're going to change our behavior, right? And if we have to, and I'm just saying, right, this is extreme, but if we have to go to a different country, if we have to move operations, if we have to whatever, right, we are going to be changing our behavior so that we're able to get accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. A simple decree isn't going to curb what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it's crazy, and there's still people, I think, in our government that think that the U.S. bans this, then everybody else will too. Like the U.S. still controls everything, and there's so many countries out there that have seen the benefits of crypto and are already adopting it and using it. That I think it's already too widespread to make that happen. Maybe 10 years ago or longer, but now I think it's just too out there for everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, it is interesting to me that when the U.S. banking industry and sector is going through this, I mean, collapse. And I say collapse because I don't think it's hyperbole. We're seeing banks collapse every week. Something is going down, and then the top biggest banks come in and they get to buy it on pennies on the dollar. It's like 1920s all over again, right? It's insane seeing these run on the banks and stuff being created, and then the big banks have the ability to come in and buy them up. But so they're going through this crisis. It unsettles the population. And what do we see in response? We see that crypto is moving up.
Yep.
And it looks like when you're looking at liquidity and cash flow and everything, it looks like people are saying, I need to find something more secure. And I don't trust, like the trust that I once had in the banking system and the banking sector is eroding. And I'm going to go to crypto because at least I can control my funds, right?
Yeah.
Right. Not your keys, not your money. So I think it's an incredible thing to see, and I think that that's really what is scaring the anti-crypto people, or really the people that are bought and paid for by banks, right?
Absolutely. And Rad makes a good point. I mean, you can stop U.S. users signing up to any KYC, but you can go online, get a digital citizenship somewhere else, and then that just skirts around it. I mean, no matter what, somebody's going to find a way to get around it. Just like other countries, they ban it, they still find a way to gain access to it. So,
right.
And I agree with Crypto Mom. Nigeria is a huge country for crypto, and that would be one of the first places I would say to look overseas to, for Parapay.
Yeah. I think it's incredible. I mean, globally, crypto it's not going anywhere, And if the US decides to do something like ban everything outside of, I mean, it just shows, I don't know. I guess we need term limits.
For sure.
I'm sorry. But realistically, what it's saying is that these people are out of touch. It's not about what's best for the people. It's not about, I mean, because realistically, this would actually be a preservation to the existing system. if you allow competition. Competition makes everything stronger, right?
Yeah.
Makes everything stronger. This is really telling, that the reaction is to say, okay, you know what? It's not more freedom. It's not more choice. It's we need to tighten the reins of control and all this. And there's real concerns. And this we're seeing this when SVB went down and they said, don't worry, we're going to come in and we're going to back up all of the transactions and all of the depositors for that bank, right? And it's not going to just be up to 250,000, which was originally stated. And now we've seen that with every bank that's collapsed since then, they've also made that same promise. It is insane because they're going to run through all of their funds. And they say this is not a bailout like 2008. You know, the CEOs and the boards, they're not getting any money, right? It's the depositors. You're saving their business. That means they're still in business. They get to go through and make the same bad decisions again and again, which were created by the Fed, you know, saying, hey, we need to we need to make sure that you're buying these treasury bills and all this. I mean, they're going to run out of money. This is a savings account and they're just blowing it. So what happens when they have no more money and they can't back up these things, right? I mean, it's insane. This is a massive event. I don't think it's being talked about in the way that it should.
Yep.
And crypto is the safe haven for people, and I think we're seeing it in market price.
Yep. I really do believe that there's just so many people out there that have the mindset of, oh, well, I just don't think it'll ever happen, that they just don't believe it. And the day will come where it will happen. And, those people are going to be extremely shocked. There's just so many, the whole mindset, it'll never happen to me type of mindset. And yeah, Richard Scoper.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's just incredible. We already had, before COVID, we as a world, right? But especially the United States, we had a massive issue with inflation, and inflation in the true sense, which is the increase of the money supply, right? Making more money. Printing press goes burr, right? We've had this for a long time, and it's so interesting because right now there's this debate about default. Oh, the United States for the first time is going to default. The United States has defaulted many times, but the biggest default was the Bretton Woods Agreement, where we moved off of the silver and gold, right, off the gold standard, 1971. That was the biggest default in American history, where we said, you know what, we're just going to print the money we need, right? And since then, it's just been exponential. But then you throw in COVID and the spending that we saw with COVID, insane, right? I think it was 50% is what I heard. Like whatever total amount of money existed in the system, 50% of that was created, right? So now we had 150% of the supply. And now with this banking collapse, I mean, it's just insane. I was listening to someone talk about this, and it just makes sense realistically why they're pushing the CBDCs and the Fed now and everything. It's because the system's going down. So why not fight for control over the new system, right? And the worry is you have a kind of a laissez-faire free market competition with cryptos, or you try and box all of them out and do your own CBDC and build it with some forward-thinking mechanisms, like being able to prevent people from buying things or sending money to people that you don't want them to. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's crazy that all of a sudden, just a couple months ago, all of a sudden, Fed now, July 2023, and it's like, wait, where'd this come from? And now they're saying there's no hurry for regulation, but they kind of pushing this Fed now thing through pretty quickly. I mean, I'm sure they've been working on it for a while, but all of a sudden it was like, boom, here, it's going to be here. And I'm like, that's not a coincidence with all these banks collapsing and all these other things happening. And now all of a sudden they're pushing this out this summer, but they're not in a hurry.
Right, right. So everyone, I
No.
mean, we've seen this. There's people that have tried to work, and this is something we haven't had this issue. Um, but I am a little interested, and I'm not trying to like create any, fear, uncertainty, or doubt, but I have heard of people trying to work with the SEC, sending in letters and whatever, and they don't get responses. They get a knock on their door, right?
Yeah.
This has happened a few times to several people, predominant people. And so, yeah, it is interesting that when it comes to crypto, they're not so interested, I think, in finding a solution. We're going to find a solution. We're going to go through the process. They're going to let us know. I mean, we're going to go through this the way that it needs to be gone through. I think that especially with Lee's connections and people in government, like we're going to find the pathway forward. But it is interesting. It does seem like, and I don't even think it's that odd of a coincidence,
Yeah.
like the system is untenable when you're just printing money the way that we are. I mean, just everything that's going on, it's going to collapse. And I think they just want to transition into the new system, right? A new digital dollar, and make that happen. So,
Yep.
they're not
I
going to
agree.
let the crisis go to waste.
I agree. All right. Well, I hate to cut it short, but I got to run. We got a couple things
Yeah.
that got moved up a little bit, but I think are you available next Saturday? I know we got big huddle, not this week, but next week, the 31st. Do you want to do another live next Saturday? And
Yeah,
then
we can do that. That'd be great.
okay,
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
I do want to just kind of last thought on this before we go. The reason for this discussion, right, is because realistically this is the competition.
Yep.
Depending on what the central banks are doing with the digital currencies and Fed now and everything, the reason for the importance is to give people an option, and Parapay is that option. We're
Yep.
giving people the ability through being totally compliant and everything like that to work and interact, to sell and buy things, to pay for services with crypto outside of whatever is still required, right?
Yep.
So it gives people that ability to still have choice. So that's why I think it's important.
Yeah, and I think we should touch on that again next week. Kind of the why the competition is good between Parapay and Fed now, and because it's different. And I think we just need to continue to highlight the differences from what Pair's doing versus anybody else that people think are doing something similar. So I think
Yeah,
we should definitely touch on that again next week because it's probably one of the hottest topics right now.
definitely. Yep, definitely. All
Well,
right, sounds good.
thank you for coming, Cameron. Today, we'll see you guys next Saturday. And I appreciate everybody coming out today. You guys had great questions. Bring some more next week. Next Saturday, we'll get on. We'll do, just some more and talk some more. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. And everybody have a great rest of your weekend. Cameron, again, thank you. Have a great weekend, man.
You too. See you, buddy. Bye.
See you guys.